Welcome in this evening, race fans. We are live across all social media platforms tonight. I'm Faded TV, and we have teamed up with Intensity Broadcasting. Their Facebook is live. Go check them out on YouTube as well if that's your preferred source. Also, if you're on a Roku or Fire Stick device, you can download eRacing TV. Go ahead and add that channel where we will be live on there tonight as well. We welcome you in at Atlanta Motor Speedway for the HP Consulting 250 with Original Rebels Racing League. It should be a fantastic night of racing. Again, this is the Send It Cup Series presented by Jason Reisman Insurance. Look them up today at reisman.getinsured@gmail.com. Getting a few things squared away on the production side of things. But again, we appreciate you guys tuning in no matter what platform you're using. YouTube, Facebook, eRacing TV, Intensity Broadcasting over there on Twitch. Pretty big field for tonight's race. We do have some information to go over. You saw at the top of this broadcast, we tried giving you guys a sneak peek into the point standings. Last week was a really good race. The podium at Richmond, of course, race winner Chris Bass. Second place went to Zach Wetstein, and Eddie Smith took home third place last week at Richmond. That was a fun race to call there. But going over through the points, Eddie Smith is your standings leader right now. He's the only one in the top 15 who does have a win on the season. He's sitting up top there all by himself with 135 points. He's going to be driving the number 87 car. Again, that's Eddie Smith. Tyler Gatke is tied with Aaron Adcock in second place. They both have 104 points coming into tonight's race. Tyler driving the number 16 car, and if you're a fan of Aaron, catch him in the number 23. Chris Bass, last week's race winner in the 97 car, in fourth place with 102. And excuse what I said earlier, Eddie Smith, I thought he was the only one with the race win. That is not true. Chris Bass comes into Atlanta fresh off his win last week in Richmond. He's also got another win there, so he's our only multi-winner here in the league. Zach Wetstein with that second place last week, driving the number 4 car. He's in fifth place in the point standings at 97 points. As we got a long season to go, these points are really starting to close out here as we got 2 drivers in the top 5 tied. So definitely wanting a great finish tonight. Clint Rice is your 15th in standings, driving the number 42 car. In front of him, Justin Henry in 14th. Steve Loving and Garrett Kinder both tied with 78 points in that 12th spot. Matthias Swank is in 11th in the point standings with Joey Buscemi in 9th place, tied with Seth Griffin. They got 87 points. Jeff Paisley in 8th. Michael Swink, Jonah Colbert tied for 6th. So the top 15 drivers here, a lot of competition going on. A lot of these drivers are tied with one another. So definitely looking to get out of hot Atlanta with a strong finish tonight. All eyes, though, going to be on Eddie Smith and Chris Bass. Those guys coming in with a lot of momentum. So that will be the preview of the point standings here as we're still in practice. We got a long way to go. Wanted to kick off things a little bit early for you guys watching at home. 21 minutes left. So if you're tuning in now, you still have some time. Get yourself prepared for the HP Consulting 250 here at Atlanta. This is Original Rebels Racing League. When we get back from a short break, we'll start doing some driver interviews. I'd like to pull in Chris Abbas again, coming off that Richmond win, sitting high up into the points. We'll talk to the points leader as well coming into tonight's race. So go ahead, get up, grab yourself that cold beverage, go to the bathroom maybe one more time, because when we come back from break, we're going to have all the action here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Alrighty, race fans, welcome back in. Appreciate that small little break. We're going to start pulling in some drivers for some pre-race interviews. And who better to call in than the standings leader, Eddie Smith. Hopefully it's a good time for him.
Up a little bit.
Hey, Eddie, sorry I pulled you away from your team channel there. This is faded up in the broadcast booth. Is now a good time to chat with you for a couple of minutes?
Yeah, I was about to wreck my teammate, but I guess so. What's going on, man?
I apologize. It's always awkward. Sometimes I think maybe I should get up with you guys a little bit before, because I know it can be frustrating getting pulled out of chat like that without.
No, it's all good.
But listen, man, so you come into tonight, you're still points leader. You're sitting up there with a bit of a comfortable lead. You're at 135 in the point standings. You got Tyler and Aaron behind you, tied with 104. And however, Chris Bass now, he's the only multi-win driver in the point standings coming off Richmond last week. However, you still had a strong finish. You took home third at Richmond. And again, you still stand on top of the points. Coming into Atlanta tonight, I personally like Atlanta. I know a lot of drivers do, but you always hear drivers talk about the tire wear here and how important it is. And, the longer these green flag sessions go on, just making sure you're keeping your car safe, getting your track position. So coming in tonight, I assume you're going to be working hard with your teammates. What's your goal here in Atlanta? Sitting on top of points, are you going to sit back comfortably here at the beginning of the race, or are you going flat out from green flag to checkered?
Well, there's I guess for me it's a long season, so it's going to be a really long season. So I love this track combo with the Cup car, so I'm excited to race it. I'm excited to get in there with Chris Bass, Zach, Jonah, some new guys that just joined our team. I'm excited just to race tonight. I'm not really thinking about points too much just yet. It's a little bit too early. We got playoffs anyway. So just trying to make sure I finish and have a good time. Last week was just so much fun that I just can't wait to get back in here and race these guys. If I finish first or 10th, if it's racing like last week, I'll take it. So I'm just excited to get in and race.
Yeah, Richmond was definitely a fun race to watch and to call. And again, taking home P3, definitely a strong finish at Richmond. Now, you brought up something that I did want to talk about. It is a long season. However, with you getting that win, pretty much locking you into the playoffs, does that really just immediately lift the weight off your shoulders? And that does that allow you to be a little bit more of a team player, help out the other guys that are in your team? Obviously, you still want to have good showing, and racers always want to race hard. But knowing that you locked into that playoff so early on, how do you go into these races? Are you still stressed out, or are you like, hey, I'm in the playoffs, let's just go have some fun?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think with Chris Bass being in the league and feeling like I'm chasing him a little bit, I feel like I have a lot to learn. So taking my foot off the gas doesn't really seem like something I'm, taking it easy or anything like that. It looks like I have a lot left to learn. So every week I'm, not that I'm like putting him on a pedestal or anything, but he's obviously been the faster driver the last couple weeks, and so for me that's a challenge. That's something to to try to aspire to figure out what he's doing that I can try to be better at. And so that's all. And Zach Wetstein too. Both of those guys have been really 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 fast all season long. So I really just kind of focused on my own drive and trying to improve where I feel like I'm lacking and try to figure out what they're doing, and that way I can be competitive every week with them.
Yeah, and of course you don't want to get too complacent and kind of fall asleep on your goals, and then when you do reach the playoffs, you might be a step behind there. So I like the attitude, figuring out what you need to improve on, and definitely think you're doing that with a third place finish at Richmond last week. Eddie Smith, your point standings leader. We appreciate your time and good luck tonight.
All right. Well, I hope we're going 3 wide for the lead tonight as well. So thanks, man.
Yes, sir. You're welcome. All righty, that was your point standings leader, Eddie Smith. You heard it from him. He's already made the playoffs with his one win, but he does not plan on letting off here at Atlanta. Still trying to chase Chris Bass, as you heard him talk about. Chris Bass, of course, having those 2 wins so far this season. He brought up Zach Wetstein, who did finish second place last week at Richmond, another fast driver. So it's always interesting to hear the guy at the top of the point standing start bringing up some of these other names, and not necessarily, that he's worried about them or anything like that, but it's just nice to hear from the guy at top say, hey, there's some strong competition in this league, and I need to make sure I bring my A game each and every week. So Eddie Smith driving that 87 car, we certainly appreciate your time, and we appreciate your effort into the league, as we still have about 11 minutes left on the practice session. We've taken a look at the scenic route here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Let's get onto the track with some of these cars and start getting a look at some of these times here, you can see the top left of the tower, Chris Bass, who we've already spoken about, bringing in the fastest time right now here at Atlanta, 30.83. Zach Wilson not too far off of him. Eddie Smith, Cameron Combs behind him, and Josh Lukenvitz in that 5th spot so far in practice in that 79 Chevrolet. You got Chuck Pegleg Feltz up into the top 10 so far. Aaron Adcock, who's tied in the standings. And Zach in 8th place. Garrett Kinder, Jonah Colbert, your top 10 so far in the practice sessions. But right now, Chris Bass, definitely the top dog up there. But as you can see on the times, 0.07, 0.08, 0.08, 0.09, and then Chuck Pegleg only a 10th off, sitting back in that 6th spot. And you see a couple of drivers that are actually tied. So definitely going to be some strong competition tonight. You heard Eddie Smith talk about wanting to be 3 wide here for the finish. And Atlanta can provide that. Now, it's obviously going to be repaved in the offseason. It's going to shorten down to about 40 foot of width. But I believe where Atlanta sits right now, it's I think roughly 55 feet wide. So definitely plenty of room for cars to go 2 wide, 3 wide through here. Should be racing from the front of the field to the back of the field, 2 wide, 3 wide, all night long. So, and hopefully set us up for a nice race finish. Again, this is Original Rebels Racing League. I'm Faded TV up into the broadcast booth, partnering up with Intensity of Broadcasting. So no matter where you're watching from, whether that's the YouTube, the Facebook, Twitch.com, or E-Racing TV, certainly stay tuned for some more action. And if you are on a social media platform where you can drop these guys a like, certainly do so. We'll have my personal Twitch channel added next week. But right now we're focusing on the guys at Intensity Broadcasting and E-Racing TV. As you can see, a number 87 car going for a little bit of a ride. That's Eddie Smith in the Bass Pro Shop. I think somebody just clipped him a little bit there. Chris Bass been in the pits for a little while. He might have his car dialed in and where he wants it, so no point of him really running any last-minute laps here. Now, it is important to note that, like all season long and here tonight, these drivers are going to be racing here with 0 quick repairs. I know a lot of leagues across iRacing and on this simulator, they have 1 quick repair. Some have 2 quick repairs, which certainly leaves open the door for a mistake to be able to clean it up, come down into pit road, use a quick repair, and get back out on the track. But not here at Original Rebels Racing League. They have 0 quick repairs this season. They're bringing in 6 sets of tires here at Atlanta, and we're going to have 2 attempts at green, white, checkered if it comes down to that. Again, this is the HP Consulting 250 here in Atlanta. Eddie Smith and Chris Bass, your two drivers that have come in to tonight's race with a win, meaning they're the only two drivers that have locked in a playoff spot. I do apologize. I believe my mic's been muted for quite some time, so I do apologize for that. But we were just wrapping up qualifying sessions nonetheless. You had all the information on the left part of your screen. So if there's any time to have a mishap, I suppose that would have been it. Apologize to you guys watching. Apologize to Original Rebels Racing League. I don't know how long I was muted for, but if we were muted for this part, this was the Peg Leg Phelps Pole Award presented to tonight's pole sitter, Eddie Smith. Bringing in the fastest qualifying time. Also your points leader, Chris Bass, not too far off of him. Zach Wilson in third. Steve Loving in fourth. And Jeff Paisley rounding out your top five. Chuck Feltz going to be sixth. Garrett Kinder seventh. Zach Wetstein in that seventh position. Or eighth position, excuse me. Josh Luckenvitz, Jonah Colbert, your top 10 drivers coming in to tonight's race. Cameron Combs and Aaron Adcock. Aaron's up there in the point standings as well. Tied with another driver, I think, for second in standing. So definitely a lot to race for here tonight, though, as many, many drivers are looking to pick up their first win and lock in their playoff spot. All righty, the field has been set. 167 laps here at the HP Consulting 250 at Atlanta Motor Speedway. This is Original Rebels Racing League. I'm Faded TV, partnering up with Intensity Broadcasting. No matter where you're watching it from, we appreciate you guys tuning in to tonight's race. Hopefully we'll be calling the rest of the season with these guys. Definitely appreciate them having us on board, and we appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll get everybody nice and tight here. Starting grid presented by Magic Mike Motorsports. Shout out to those guys over at Magic Mike. We appreciate you having or coming on board with us for this season and sponsoring our starting grid. We'll try to catch all the action for you here in this 37 car field. As we call it live. Coming out of turn 4, pace car's off. Eddie Smith takes the green flag. Chris Bass on his outside. As these guys drag race into turn 1, Zach Wilson giving Eddie Smith the push he needs to secure first place into turn 2, coming out of, or into turn 1, coming out of turn 2 onto the backstretch. That's going to remain as Eddie Smith, Zach Wilson, Chris Bass all get single file behind that 87 Bass Pro Shop of Eddie Smith. Chris Bass looked like he wanted to check up on that mid to high line, realized nobody was going to follow suit, so he checks back down on the inside line behind Zach Wilson, Now he's going to stay on that outside line. That's the 97 of Chris Bass trying to take over that second position from that Toyota. We got Steve Loving looking on these two drivers as they battle it out. He is in that Miller High Life 27. Chris Bass does get the job done. He's going to take over second place. You can see him still favoring that midline till about midway through the turn. He drops it down low. Gets off a nice corner exit there out of turn 2. Eddie Smith enjoying a nice comfortable lead here early on. As Chris Bass and Zach Wilson were battling it out there for second place, allowed Eddie to run up there all on his own and get a nice little buffer between himself and Chris Bass. We start getting back to the battle for 7th place. You see these cars are double wide here, 2 wide at Atlanta. This track certainly provides the room to race like this. Our leaders are single file up there. We'll get back to them momentarily. We'll catch some of the race action here towards the back and the top 10, which right now Peyton Johnson gatekeeping that top 10 position. That's Aaron Adcook in the 11th, trying the inside line there in that 85 Toyota, trying to keep his way into the top 10. Peyton Johnson in that 14, already making 4 spots here in the early going. Garrett Kinder in the 13 Ford Mustang dropping back 5 spots early on. Checking back up front, though. These guys still racing it for second place. That's Chris Bass on the outside. Zach Wilson on the inside. Eddie Smith still up front leading this race, 8 laps down. Steve Loving and Jeff Paisley, your 4th and 5th spot. You can see Zach in that Eagle 1. Eddie Smith certainly liking what he sees in his rear view as he does see Chris and Zach continue to battle it out for second place. As he's yet to be contended for that top spot here tonight at Atlanta. Talking to Eddie Smith at the top of the broadcast during our interview, he said he felt like he needed to find some speed. He's been chasing Chris Bass the last couple of weeks, but right now, it's the exact opposite as it's Chris Bass's turn to now chase Eddie Smith around the track. Eddie obviously bringing in a very fast car. He was your pole sitter. He's led every lap here in the early going. as drivers in the back of this field still duking it out too wide here. Been a lot of action in the back. We'll try to catch back up with the leaders momentarily. You can see almost 3 wide here on the front stretch. That's the 55 car of Charlie Gates Jr. getting passed on both doors there. Christopher Heiner, Matt Guy, Stephen McDonald. Phil Monzo back here early going in 34th, but he has moved up 3 spots. We'll have to keep an eye on Charlie Gates Jr. He's dropped back 12 spots in the early going, but that could be intentional, as some drivers like to do so in the early going in a long race right now. They'll lay down a nice qualifying lap, and then at the beginning of the race, they'll purposely drop back just to try to save as much tires as they can, but also stay out of any trouble in the early going. Again, here at Original Rebels Racing League, they have 0 quick repairs. So I can't stress enough just how important it is to make sure you're taking care of your race car. So that might be exactly what Charlie Gates Jr. is doing here early on. We'll check back up with the leaders. Everybody still chasing Eddie Smith. We haven't missed much up here. Chris Bass, still your second place driver. Zach Wilson in 3rd. Steve Loving in 4th. And Jeff Paisley still sitting in 5th. Zach Wetstein, though, on the rise. He's bumped up 2 positions since the beginning of this race. He's trying to crack the top 5 as Steve Loving and Jeff Paisley run side by side through turn 1, out of turn 2, onto the back stretch. They're going to remain 2 by 2. We'll see who gets the advantage. It looks like Steve Loving gets a little bit loose coming out of turn 2. That might open the door for Zach, as they are now 2 by 2 coming into turn 3 to crack the top 5 like we just talked about. Good news, though, for Zach Wilson to see Steve get a little bit loose there. That's going to free him up to try to be able to catch Chris Bass. So a nice break for Zach Wilson. You see Zach does make the pass on to Jeff Paisley. So now he's up 3 spots, cracking the top 5 in his Eagle 1 Ford Mustang. And it looks like the battle for first is heating up now that Chris Bass doesn't have to worry about Zach Wilson challenging him for that second spot. Those guys raced pretty hard there in the early going for about 12, 13 laps. Since then, though, Chris has taken over second place, and he has been burning up the time on Eddie Smith as we see him getting closer and closer to the bumper of that 87 car. We'll see if Eddie can hold him off. 17 laps down here coming into turn 3. These guys definitely bringing in 2 fast race cars here as they both start pulling away just a little bit from third place driver Zach Wilson. If you guys are watching this broadcast on YouTube, be sure to leave a thumbs up, subscribe to Intensity Broadcasting. If you're on Facebook, like the video. If you're over on Twitch, certainly follow Intensity Broadcasting. I'm Faded TV. We're also live on eRacing TV. If you have a Roku or Fire Stick device, be sure to add the channel. There's live racing just like this throughout the week. Again, that's eRacing TV on your Roku and Fire Stick. So it looks like Eddie Smith certainly has what it takes to hold off Chris Bass here in the early going as we're 20 laps into this race. We'll start seeing how these drivers cope when their tires start getting worn down here at Atlanta. But right now, so far so good as we see Eddie Smith still taking these turns down low. You start off high, you come down to the white line in the middle of the turn. And then you start checking back up high slowly on corner exit. Once these tires start to go, though, you'll start seeing them not get so low to that white line. You'll actually start seeing drivers prefer to race that midline, and some of them will actually remain up by the wall here at Atlanta once the tire wear starts settling in. Eddie Smith, though, getting everything he can out of his Goodyear tires. Six sets of tires is what we brought here in Atlanta, so definitely plenty to go around. But you don't want to abuse that. 167 laps is going to be a long race, especially if we stay green flag racing like this all night long. We've yet to see a caution, 22 laps in. And we've seen a lot of two wide action, so definitely a lot of racing skill being presented. And as I talk about that, we are going to see our first caution of the night. I don't see anybody in the red, so it might not be too harsh. But let's go ahead and see if we can take a look at what brought out that caution. I don't see any driver names being reported on our SDK iRacing live timing. Shout out to those guys providing some of the best overlays in today's broadcasting. But unfortunately, again, I do not see a name being reported in the software. So that's unfortunate. Not too sure what caused the caution. Tonight's replays presented by Kinder JK Farm and Ranch. They will be providing our wreckage rewind tonight. I hope I'm saying that right. If not, please feel free to let me know in my DMs. But shout out to those guys for providing our wreckage rewind. Anytime you see a caution, we're going to try to catch as much action as we can. But if we don't have the data to go off of, then there's not much we can do up here in the booth. So that's unfortunate for the time being. Nonetheless, we'll keep it going as we see the majority of the leaders coming in and start using one of their 6 sets of tires. It looks like William Griffith in the 12 car is going to beat Eddie Smith off pit road. He has bumped up 29 positions during this caution. So most certainly a huge win off pit road for William Griffith. I'd be interested to see if maybe he chose to take 2 tires early on here, which might have been the cause of him to bump up as far as he did here. And we'll see if that is the case, if the gamble pays off. He's got Eddie Smith, Zach Wilson, and Chris Bass behind him. As we see, it looks like he's going to come back down pit road. I'm not too sure if maybe he got a speeding penalty there. Maybe that's what jump-started that huge win off pit road for William Griffith. He's going to have to come back down pit road. Which means Eddie Smith is going to reclaim his top spot back in first place. Zach Wilson able to beat off Chris Bass off pit road. Steve Loving in 4th. Zach Wetstein in 5th. Certainly could reword that a little better. My apologies. So our first caution here at the HP Consulting 250 at Atlanta Motor Speedway is going to bring all the leaders down, get some fresh tires. Pretty good time for a caution, as I'm sure another 5 to 10 laps we would have started seeing some guys take some green flag pit stops. Now they're just free to come on in and keep track position. Make their way back out onto the track behind the iRacing pace car. Shout out to iRacing.com for providing the simulator, SDK overlays for providing the live timing. Original Rebels Racing League can be seen here every Saturday night. 7:30 Central Time is when we'll be going live. You definitely don't want to miss any of the pre-race interviews and some of the action going on into the practice session. I know the guys were having some fun when we tuned into the practice session, doing a little bit of drifting on the track and a little bit of bumping. So always a good time and never a waste of time. If you ever want to check in early, we do about 20 minutes of the practice session. That allows us to get a feel for what drivers are running the fastest time. We do pre-race interviews and make sure everything is good to go for the race. So Eddie Smith going to take the green flag. Gets a pretty good jump on Zach Wilson. He's going to go down into turn 1 as your race leader. It's going to be up to Chris Bass to reclaim that second spot from Zach. We'll see if these guys have the duel like they did last time. These guys are up there racing for a good 12, 13 laps, allowing Eddie Smith to gain a bit of a lead. But you can see Zach Wilson certainly carrying some speed here on the restart. Chris Bass getting his nose in on the inside line. That's going to mean Zach Wilson has to run that mid-line throughout turn 3 and 4, which is where he stays. Chris looking on the inside. Zach Wetstein taking full advantage. Up 4 spots now, up into 4th place as he makes the pass and sends Steve Loving back to 5th. Cameron Combs 6th. Jeff Paisley 7th. Peyton Johnson 8th. As we see these guys battle it out for the top 5 positions here. That's Zach on the high line on the outside of that 97 car of Chris Bass. Looks like we're going to go under caution a second time. So that didn't take long. I think about 3 laps. We find ourselves under our second caution of the night. Tyler Gatke, Joey Buscemi, Tyler Gatke. Let's go back and see what we can find out. See if we can. Oh, the number 16 car of Gatke just gets a little bit loose. That sends the field behind him with nowhere to go. The 55 car involved as well. Oh, looks like that 8 car out of nowhere. I don't know if he was trying to save that and just kind of hit his brakes a little bit too hard is what I would assume. Jake the Iron Man Ellingson also involved in this pile up here. We'll get a look at what just happened with him on the tail end of this. He's in that 61 car. Yep, just nowhere for him to go. And that is unfortunate because this is going to end a lot of drivers' nights here again. 0 quick repairs here with Original Rebels Racing League. And there's a couple of guys there definitely taking some hard licks. Mickey Isaac involved in this as well. He's on the back end of this. TV2, not going to give us a really good angle of that, but that's that 01 car you see. Not too sure what happened there, if he just locked him up and couldn't quite recover, but it looked like he might have had a little bit of time to recover that. But nonetheless, a couple of the cars jump into pit road. That means their night's pretty much all but done. 0 quick repairs, a lot of front end damage for a lot of cars there. So that's definitely going to reshape the mid to back pack here for these drivers. Pretty early one too. We just got off pit road That's going to be our second caution here at Atlanta. Didn't take long. Again, about 3 laps of green flag racing before we saw a car get loose and cause a pretty big one. Shout out to you guys watching at home. I know these drivers appreciate it so much when friends and family tune in and watch these guys race. It means a lot to them. Certainly spend a lot of money on the equipment, spend a lot of time practicing, getting ready for these races. A lot of preparation goes in each week. I know these drivers love having a platform to share their racing skill and racing craft to as much of the world as possible. So we appreciate you guys watching at home. We will go down the backstretch one more time behind the pace car before we get back to green flag racing. It's still going to be Eddie Smith on the inside of row 1. Zach Wilson looks like he was going to have a heck of a run there on that restart in that Mobile 129. You see him up top there on the outside of the 87. Chris Bass looking behind him in third on the inside. Zach Wetstein again making his way up to fourth. We are going to take the green flag with Eddie Smith. A nice little jump for him. Now Chris Bass going to take full advantage of starting on that inside line here at the early going of that restart. He's going to secure P2 from Zach Wilson, and he's going to finally try to make a run for P1. You see him riding that midline there. Hasn't quite had the speed to take Eddie Smith, but this might be the best opportunity he's had to do so, as we see him working behind that 87. Cameron Combs and Zach battling it out for fourth place. You see Steve Loving and Peyton Johnson behind those guys. Those are the drivers 2 wide coming into turn 3. It looks like Eddie Smith doing a phenomenal job right now defending his position. He's got his work cut out for him tonight. But so far, 35 laps down. Eddie Smith has been your race leader the whole way through. Chris Bass trying like heck to get up there and challenge this. And here we go. Going into turn 3. Looked like he was going to get a run on the high line. We'll see how this plays off. Coming off turn 4 onto the front stretch. Eddie Smith so good off corner exit. Able to maintain that spot as they cross the start-finish line. That number 97 car is going to have to figure something out here soon. He's fast, but he's not Eddie Smith fast here tonight. Zach Wetstein moving up to third place. Takes that spot away from Zach Wilson, who's pretty much held on to that the entire race. So Zach on the move, up 5 positions. Cameron Combs up 6. He cracks the top 5 for the first time tonight in that Mobile 115. Behind him, Steve Loving, Peyton Johnson, Jeff Paisley. These guys all making a run. You see Jesse Nakula trying to make a run on the inside in his 84 car. He's going to be looking on the inside of Garrett Kinder for that top 10 position. Oh, he gets a little bit loose there. Nothing major. Able to hold on to that was Garrett, or Jesse. Sorry, Jesse Nakula. Aaron Mack up 9 positions in that 37 car. He's sitting 12th. This is the battle for ninth between Garrett, Jonah Colbert, Jesse Nakula, Aaron Mack, all in play here for a crack at the top 10. Chuck Pegleg Phelps chopping back to 13th. He's in that 75 car, though. He's working the inside of Aaron Mack. That's the battle for 12th right there. Eddie Smith, though, story of the night, led every lap so far, all 41 here at Atlanta. Chris Bass trying to find some pace where he can, find some speed. Not been able to close it out with Eddie Smith right now. That 87 car just dialed in, making it look easy. Chris Bass, the only driver coming in tonight with multiple wins. So certainly an impressive showing so far early on out of that 87 car. Also in the Eagle 1, Zach, up 5 spots, breaking top 3. He's looking for his second podium in a row as he took home second place at Richmond last week. So a good showing out of his car tonight as well. These guys certainly putting on a good race so far. Only 2 cautions so far. Not too sure what the first one was about either. I wish we could have seen what that was. Unfortunately, I just didn't have the information to go off of. We saw the big caution. The second one happened about 3 laps after that. As we take a look at one of those cars that were involved, you see the front end damage on Charles Stevens Jr. Nonetheless, up 18 spots, making his way into 18th position. So he's on a bit of a run. You see behind him, these guys battling it out. Action happening all over the racetrack. You see scrolling right now the top 10 as we see that live. That's going to bring in our 3rd caution of the night. That's the 24 car of Christopher Heiner. They're battling it out. We'll take another look at that. momentarily. Let's go back and take a look at just what happened. We saw it live here in the 24 car, riding up high, fighting that steering, hits the wall, gets loose. Fortunately for everybody else, looks like the only car involved. See a couple of cars going really low there. He's able to regain control of that Chevrolet Camaro, bring it back down. Pit road, everybody else unharmed. So a good job by Christopher to limit any further damage there. It was unfortunate. It looks like he was just fighting a little bit of tire wear. He was trying to go left. The car went white. He scrapes the wall. Now he's fighting the oversteer of that. Gets a little bit loose. And some good driving behind him as all the other drivers were able to avoid that. Now, for the second time, we're going to start seeing some pit stops under caution. Eddie Smith, Chris Bass. Chris Bass sporting the Rocket Racing setup. It looks like for the first time tonight, we are going to have a new race leader. Chris Bass winning the race off of pit road. We'll see how Eddie Smith can come back from that. As I do believe Eddie Smith certainly has the faster car. He's been defending off Chris all night long. Zach keeping it solid in third place off pit road. Steve Loving and Cameron Combs fourth and fifth. Zach Wilson, I believe for the first time tonight, dropping out of the top five. He finds himself sitting back in that sixth place off of pit road. So we'll get these guys lined back up, as we said, falling under our third caution at Atlanta. We talked about tire wear being an issue. It certainly was that go around. So we'll see how this battle for first shapes up. Eddie Smith, it looks like Chris wants the outside, so he's going to take the outside. That's going to put Eddie Smith down low. Which I'm not too sure if, I mean, I know Chris wants to run what he wants to run, but Eddie Smith has been so good on that inside line. Of course, I think Chris has ran that high to midline all night long. So if that's where a driver's comfortable, that's where he wants to be. As we go back, green flag racing. Chris Bass with a pretty nice start there. Zach with a really good restart. You see him right on the back bumper of Eddie Smith. He's going to try to keep pace with these two. So for the first time tonight, it looks like we are going to have a new race leader. As we see a car off track, he's going to be able to hold on to it, go out to the infield, check down low. That's going to keep us green flag racing. Not too sure who that was, but great job of driving there, able to maintain that. You see Eddie Bass on the inside, goes up a little bit high, almost kisses that corner panel of Chris Bass. That could have been ugly for some of the top two drivers in the race tonight. Nonetheless, Eddie being able to lift off at the last second, he's going to be able to avoid any of that. And if you're Eddie Smith, this is what you don't want. He's led the whole race up to this point, was doing such a phenomenal job of holding off Chris. But as we see right here, Chris with a pretty big lead after the restart on Eddie. We'll see if the likes of Steve Loving and Zach Wetstein have anything to challenge Eddie for that second spot. As these guys coming out of turn 2, single file in the first 4 positions. 2 wide back there in 5th. That's Zach Wilson and Peyton Johnson battling it out for that 5th spot. I'm not too sure if Chris made an adjustment to his car during that last pit stop, but it looks like he definitely found the speed that he's been looking for. As again, he would challenge the back bumper of Eddie Smith, but it really didn't look like he had the speed to make any kind of move on it. But as you can see here, comfortably in the lead. So choosing that outside line, paying dividends for new race leader Chris Bass. Here comes Zach working the bumper of Eddie Smith. Let's see if he can make his way up into second place, as he's had a pretty consistent drive over the course of 58 laps. And again, trying to repeat the podium run that he had last week at Richmond. We see Eddie, though, closing that gap on Chris all the way to the bumpers. We do see them fighting some lap traffic there. That's the number 8 car. He's going to stay up high. That's going to allow all these guys to dip down low. And it doesn't look like it's going to affect Chris, as we see Zach now on the outside right quarter panel of Eddie Smith in that 87 car. Does he have the run on the front stretch here? It's a drag race down into turn 2, and it does look like Zach Wetstein's going to take over that second place position from Eddie, and Peyton Johnson following suit behind him on that outside line. You got the 29 car of Zach Wilson also looking to strike, as it looks like Eddie Smith is falling off pace here all these cars going on the high line and passing the Bass Pro Shop Chevrolet of Eddie Smith as he drops back to 5th place, now battling it out on the inside with Zach Wilson. So that's going to shake some things up here on lap 60. So it looks like we had a really action-packed run there for about 2 laps. Now everybody kind of back to single file here in the top 5. Chris Bash, your race leader. Zach Wetstein making his way up to 2nd place. Baden Johnson finding a new spot up there in 3rd. He's up 11 positions. So these cautions certainly helping out some of these drivers that were hanging out outside the top 10. Or drivers like Zach, who started back in 8th position. He's been able to have some really nice pit stops during these cautions, finding himself up in that 2nd spot. So Eddie Smith falling back to 6th position. We'll see just how he can recover on that as he's getting a little bit loose there coming off turn 2. That might open up the door for Garrett Kinder in that 13 Ford Mustang. You see him running that high line there. So we'll check back with Eddie Smith and certainly check to see what's going on as he's losing a ton of pace right now. This is the battle for 9th. Jonah Colbert and Cameron Combs. Jeff Paisley sitting outside the top 10 in 11th. Aaron Mack up 9 positions so far in 12th. In that 37 car up high there, you can see on the inside. That's Mr. Swank in the 66. Matt Geis right now definitely the man on the move, up 20 positions in that number 2 car. Charlie Stevens, we talked about him a moment ago in that 88. Got a little bit of front damage there, but not too sure how much of that is cosmetic and how much is holding him back, but he's up 19 spots, sitting in 17th. William Griffith in front of him, up 14 spots in that all-yellow 12 car. Josh Lokenvitz down 20 spots after starting 9th in this race. Definitely not what you like to see if you're a part of that 79 camp. Chris Reese back in 30th. I believe the last car on the lead lap as the drivers through 31st and 37th are either a lap down or out of the race. We did see a pretty big wreck early on, our 2nd caution. Definitely took the race from a couple of these drivers. Back up in the front, though, Chris Bass, still your race leader, 67 laps in at the HP Consulting 250 here at Atlanta Speedway. This is Original Rebels Racing League. You're watching this live across a handful of social media outlets. Right now, we are live on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, and eRacing TV. But no matter where you're watching us from, we appreciate you tuning in. You see the top 3 drivers right now, Chris, Zach, and Peyton Johnson, pulling away from the rest of the pack here just a little bit. Eddie Smith gaining a couple of positions back, finds himself in 4th. You see the run Peyton's getting on this backstretch here as he now looks onto the inside. Nope, not quite yet. Thought he was going to get a little bit of a run here on the inside of Zach Wetstein in that Eagle 1-4, as you see. Right now, though, on board with the 97, your race leader, Chris Bass. Not too much going on in our SDK iRacing live timing, so we'll just stay up here with the leaders. Only a few drivers jockeying for position. Aaron Adcock and Aaron Mack back in 13th and 14th. Majority of the field is all single file right now, as we've most certainly gotten into a race groove here. Everybody settling in. Couple of early cautions, but also a couple of really long green flag stretches. So we just came in for tires, last caution. So these sets will last quite some time. As we make our way towards the field here, again, Eddie Smith making his way back up to 4th after losing quite the pace on that restart. Chris Bass beat him off pit road. Bass chose the outside line, and everybody else followed suit behind Chris, leaving Eddie Smith in a bit of a bind there, dropping all the way as far back as 6th and 7th. But he's found a new home there in 4th place. Garrett Kinder in 5th in that 13 car. Zach Wilson. He's got Cameron Combs, and as you can see, a lot of race boiling up between these drivers. This is 6th through 10th here. So it might have cooled down up front, but it's definitely heating up here. As you can see, a pack of about 6 or 7 cars all battling it out. 6th through 12th. Less than a second separating these cars as we're 3 wide here in Atlanta. This is Jeff Paisley, Zach Wilson, Cameron Combs. Zach Wilson up front for the majority of this race. He's losing pace as well. You see the 84 car of Jesse Nakula getting involved as well. So some 3 wide action here in Atlanta. We got to pump that up. We got to see some 4 wide now. That's your 10th place driver in that 27 Chevrolet, the 66 of Matthias Swank, and the 31 of Jonah Colbert. Keeping our eye out on that Mobile 129 of Zach Wilson. Pretty much ran this entire race in P3. He also fell back a little bit, finds himself back in 8th position, battling it out with Cameron Combs, Jesse Nakula, and Steve Loving. Phil, the Hitman Monzo, back in 26th position. Holding us down, I believe, now. The last car on the lead lap, with Chris Reese behind him in 27th. I believe that's when the cars start going to a lap down. Yep, wanted to double check that in our SDK live timing software at the top of your screen as we do fall under caution for a 4th time. We'll try to go back and see what caused this yellow flag. The good news is nobody's in the red, but you can see just some racing between the 27 car and the 66. Some hard racing. 27 car gets a little bit high there. That was Steve Loving. We'll see if we can go back and take another look at that. Looks like it's just going to be a 2-car incident there. Looks like minimum damage on the 27, but he's going to want to come in and get some tires. And I believe nothing crazy for Matthias either. As we take a look, doesn't look like there's too much damage on him as well. So best case scenario for that incident, as he's going to be able to keep the front and the back of his car clean and dent free. So leaders coming down to pit road for the 3rd time here. All pit stops for these leaders have been under caution, which makes their decision a little bit easier. And we'll stay up front here. As you can see, Eddie Smith trying to get back into the groove of things and make his way up towards the front. And it looks like he's going to do so, as Chris Bass does beat him offline, but Eddie Smith is going to be back up to P2. So he's going to get another shot at trying to keep pace up front. I'm sure Chris Bass, again, going to choose the outside line, which will put Eddie Smith on the inside. Didn't work out too well for Eddie last time, but again, he's going to have a shot at redemption. Jeff Paisley coming off pit road in 3rd. Cameron Combs 4th. As I'm trying to see where Zach ended up at off pit road. Looks like he's going to come off in 8th position. He's got a fast car, though. I'm sure he'll make his way up towards the front in no time. But definitely a lot of positions lost for Zach, as I believe when that caution came out, he was still in 2nd place. What a battle it's been here at Atlanta. Just some first-class racing so far by these guys in Original Rebels Racing League. We've seen a couple of lead changes, but Eddie Smith and Chris Bass holding it down up front for the majority of this race. Zach Wilson coming off pit road. He's going to drop all the way back to 18th spot. Now, before that caution we had just talked about, he was running top 3, top 4 pretty much the whole race until the last caution came out. And after that restart, he started falling back almost outside of the top 10. And now with this caution does find himself down 15 spots since the beginning of this race. So he's got a long night ahead of him to try to get back up to the front and reclaim that second spot. Again, this is Zach Wilson dropping all the way back to 18th. He's going to start that uphill battle once we get going back to green. Chris Bass, Eddie Smith in the front row. As we assumed, Bass in that 97 car, choosing once again that outside line here. Cameron Combs, Jeff Paisley behind Eddie Smith in row 2. Jesse Nakula and Garrett Kinder, row 3, 5th and 6th. Zach Wetstein and Jonah Colbert, row 4. Peyton Johnson and Aaron Adcock, row 5, 9th and 10th on the restart. It'll be a drag race down into turn 1 between these two drivers. We'll see if Eddie Smith can find the speed this time around, as Chris Bass with a monster restart there. Eddie sleeping just a little bit. And turn 1's going to belong to Chris Bass, your race leader. This is your battle for 5th that we hopped on board with. Jesse Nakula, Zach Wetstein, Jeff Paisley, Jonah Colbert. All racing in this bunch. Zach trying to find his way back up towards the front as well. As you get a glimpse of just how unique Atlanta can be, you can run the top side, you can run middle of the track, and you can bring it all the way down to the white line and still keep pace and speed with the guys around you. Back up to the front though, and it looks like Eddie Smith with a little bit of a better restart than last time, holding on to second spot and keeping pace with Chris Bass. That's important. Cameron Combs though in that 15 car, he's also found some speed on this restart. He's going to take it up high through turn 4. Now, the top 3 drivers single file behind them. Jeff Paisley, Zach Wetstein. Momentarily, though, you can see Cameron Combs taking the outside and Eddie Smith flirting on the inside of Chris Bass on the inside, but he's going to check back up high down the backstretch. Almost a mirrored image of what we saw at the beginning of this race when Chris was trying to hunt down Eddie Smith. But good to see Smith this go around. really the first time we've seen Bass drop it all the way down to the white line. He's been favoring the high line and vice versa with Eddie, but now Eddie's running the mid to high line. This is the battle for first place. We see Eddie Smith on the high side trying to take it away from Chris Bass. These guys have been battling it out all night long. Who's got the advantage this go around? It looks like it belongs to Eddie Smith as he does capture first place back from Chris. Checks down and closes the door on that. So phenomenal job by Eddie Smith to get back into this race. Zach back up to fourth place, so he's trying to work his way back up to the top three, where he's been virtually this whole race. 93 laps down here in Atlanta. As we see Cameron Combs in that Mobile 115. Up 8 spots. He's trying to keep pace with Chris, but he's got to deal with Zach in his rearview mirror, who also brought a really fast car to tonight's race. You see that Eagle 1 drop down low all the way to the white line with a nice corner exit. Now here comes his charge on the inside. We'll see if he can get him onto the backstretch. I don't think quite yet, but we'll see. As you see him getting closer and closer to securing that third place. Cameron, though, doing a fine job on the outside, holding on to it. But here comes the surge from Zach on the inside. Jeff Paisley back in fifth. He's trying to keep up with these guys as well. You see him favoring that high side. I thought that was going to be the lap for Zach to get it, but Cameron Combs doing an exceptional job holding off the surge that Zach was bringing the last 2 laps. As you can see at the top, only 26 cars left on the lead lap. 0 quick repairs with this league. Certainly keeps everybody in check. But unfortunate for the drivers that got involved in the early cautions. Again, if you missed it, we had a pretty big caution early on into this race, took out a bunch of cars. And as we're talking, here comes Zach, second wind here on the inside, trying to pull his Ford Mustang around the Toyota Camry of Cameron Combs, but just can't get it done. As we approach lap 100, the lead has been shared between the 2 guys on your screen right now, pretty much the whole way through. About even as far as laps led are concerned. Oh, and we're going to get another caution. Both those drivers, by the way, Eddie Smith and Chris Bass, both already locking up their playoff spot. Chris Bass comes into tonight's race with 2 wins. Eddie Smith getting a win as well. And a podium last week at Richmond, which was a phenomenal race. If you missed it, make sure you go to Intensity Broadcasting's YouTube and watch the replay. We'll get caught back up with this caution momentarily. But Richmond certainly was a fun one to call. Looks like Joshua Thompson involved in this. Looks like he's going to spin out, go off track. That's what's going to cause the caution. Not too sure what happened there. Let's try to get an angle from the rear chase cam. See just what happened. You see the front end damage there. It looks like he just gets a little bit loose there out of nowhere. And into the grass he goes. So that's going to bring out the 5th caution as we do eclipse the 100 lap mark. Chris Bass beating Eddie Smith off of pit road. Cameron Combs, Jeff Paisley, Zach Wetstein following suit behind them. Peyton Johnson and Jesse Nakula, your 9th and 10th off pit road. We got William Griffith, Brandon Wallace, and Phil Manzo, your top 3 drivers right now. But we saw this last time, and William got the wave around, so we'll wait for something a little bit more official to see who will be restarting first. Brandon Wallace running that Hoonigan paint scheme. Same paint scheme I ran last night in a recruitment race of my own. Good taste there, Brandon. Good taste. Now, we saw William up here before, I think, and I hope I'm not getting this wrong. I know he came down pit road the first time. I think he got a speeding penalty and had to come down. I think he took 2 tires. He got a speeding penalty. He had to come back down pit road a second time around. But this time, it looks like no wave around for William Griffith. I hope I'm not speaking too soon, but if it stands, William Griffith going to be your new race leader, followed by Brandon Wallace. Also in that front row, Chris Bass, Eddie Smith, though, lurking back in 3rd and 4th. And on a really fresh set of tires, obviously. So it looks like it is going to stand. William Griffith choosing the inside line. Brandon Wallace up top in that Hoonigan 99 Chevrolet. As we get some new blood up front for the first time here in Atlanta. It's going to be someone other than Chris or Eddie taking the green flag. We'll keep the top 20 cars there on the NASCAR tower on the left of your screen, provided by SDK. Shout out to them for making such a great live timing software. We appreciate it. Shout out to the boys over at SDK. Keep up the good work. Making it easy for solo guys like myself trying to call the race and the action at the same time can be quite the task. So it's very beneficial to have a software as good as what they provide. So we're going to get back to green flag racing momentarily. The story right now, those 2 drivers up front gonna provide a new race leader besides Chris and Eddie for the first time tonight. We'll go around one more time as we start tightening up the pack, getting everybody where they need to go. Now, I didn't get to see, but if I was a betting man, I would assume at least one of the two drivers on front row are here because they opted to stay out. So don't be surprised with Chris and Eddie on fresh tires, Cameron Combs, Jeff Paisley, and Zach behind them as well, all opting to pit under this 5th caution. If these guys don't stay up here very long, but sometimes you got to take a gamble. And that's what these two drivers have done. We'll see if they can hang on to these top positions. Pace car is off. William is going to take the green flag. We see the 99 car. Brandon Wallace spit him right off the jump on worn tires. So immediately he's out of the way. Chris Bass making light work of the 12 car as well. That's William Griffith dropping spots immediately. Eddie Smith, Zach Wetstein dropping it all the way down to the white line. They're also going to make light work of that 12 car on worn tires. So the gamble most certainly not paying off for those two drivers. However, Chris Reese, Charlie Gates going to bring out another caution. So not terrible for William and Brandon, as they are going to get their 6th caution. They took the gamble. It didn't pay off. But what I was going to say was, I mean, the guys that passed them were up front anyways. If those guys, they probably knew they weren't going to stay up in the lead very long, but if they could just get some track position and race up into that top 10, then maybe for them, that gamble would have been considered paid off. Now, let's go take a look at Chris Reese and Charlie Gates Jr. As you see, Chris Reese just getting a little bit loose there on the restart, back and forth on the wall. And you see the second car, that's Charlie Gates Jr., that's the 55. That's some heavy front end damage, and that could be his race as well. You already seen him a little bit beat up on that front end. So that is unfortunate. Just nowhere for him to go. He was on the middle of the track there. And that's unfortunate for both those drivers, but definitely Charlie. He already had some front end damage. Looked like he came in and already took care of some required and optional repairs, and he's going to have to do that a second time. So we'll see now if the 12 car of Griffith decides to pit. We saw Brandon Wallace spin his tires pretty good on the restart. He might want to consider losing some track position to gain another set of tires. Cameron Combs really coming on strong these last couple of restarts. He's making a case for himself here tonight at Atlanta. See if he can keep up the pace and get himself a podium here tonight. Still plenty of racing left, though. You see 170 laps down, 67 to go. Anything could happen. We'll still say single file. But it looks like those two cars I was curious about are choosing to stay out. That's the 99 car, Brandon Wallace and William Griffith, up 25 spots in 5th place. We'll see if he can stay put up there in that top 5, top 6. But he's got the likes of Jeff Paisley and Peyton Johnson behind him. Jesse Nakula, been consistent all night. He's up 7 spots up in 8th place. Those guys were outside of the top 10 not too long ago. So consistency is key here at Atlanta. Keeping your track position. Aaron Mack up 11 spots in 10th. Mickey Isaac finds himself on this restart back in 12th position. up 12 spots. So let's see what kind of run Cameron Combs can get on this restart, as he'll be on the front row for the very first time. And Zach in the Eagle 1-4 car back there, as you see Bass taking it up high, his preferred restart line that he's used all night. But Zach just bringing such a consistent car tonight. He's going to share the row with Eddie Smith, third and fourth. As we get them back too wide, we're going to get back to green flag racing here. We're on the backstretch here at Atlanta. Pace car is going to go off momentarily. And Chris Bass will take another green flag. Pace car off. We're back to green flag racing here in Atlanta. You see Zach on the outside there in that 4 car. On the inside in the 15 and the 87, that's Eddie Smith, Cameron Combs, but Chris Bass with such a good restart as he's had all night. Eddie Smith getting a little bit loose there. Zach tight onto his bumper. Those 4 cars with a monster restart separating themselves from the rest of the pack momentarily. Oh, you see a car on the infield there getting a little bit loose. Out of turn 2, he's going to drop all the way down into the infield. I believe that was Brandon Wallace. And we just got done talking about his issues with worn tires. He was able, though, to dive down into the infield, prevent any damage to himself or others, and keep us green flag racing. So an unfortunate gamble by Brandon Wallace as now he finds himself with some very worn tires. We're back green flag racing here. He's going to have to make a decision. Most certainly doesn't want to go a lap down, but most certainly wants to keep his car and others as clean as possible. So he's got a tough decision to make. As we see Zach Wetstein making the pass on to Cameron Combs, who's dropped from second back to fourth. Eddie Smith back up to second place as he continues to chase Chris Bass. Cameron, though, not going a whole lot anywhere other than a 4th spot. As you can see, still on the back bumper of Zach. Zach just so quick tonight. Hugging that inside all the way down on the white line. As he makes his campaign up towards first place for the first time this evening. We'll see if he can get the job done. However, Chris and Eddie been the 2 top dogs here tonight. It's going to be hard to knock them off their horses as they still run 1-2. Coming into turn 3. See just how wide Eddie's taking it right there. Cameron in that middle line taking 3rd place back from Zach as Zach's still favoring the inside line coming out of turn 4. Here comes the push from Eddie Smith on the inside. He's got Cameron Combs behind him. Can Eddie get it done? It's a drag strip onto the backstretch. Nope, he's going to check back up high. Cameron checking down low. And we have a race for second place as Chris still locking down the top spot. Zach now on the outside of the 15. Down into turn 1. Racing 2 wide is Zach and Cameron. Out on the backstretch, who's it going to be? You see the number 15 car of Cameron Combs getting a little bit loose. That's going to open the door for Zach to comfortably secure that 3rd spot. So a tough break from Cameron as he gets a little bit loose. He's going to regain his composure. Great save by Cameron, by the way, but unfortunately, like we said, that's going to lose the pace. And he's going to lose the battle for 3rd between him and Zach. The top 9 cars, all single file. It looks like Chris Bass, Eddie Smith, and Zach are going to start making their way through lap traffic. And it's a really big track, but these guys up here in the top 3, top 4 don't like sharing the same line. So we'll see just how unique this driving will be as they start coming up on lap traffic. Chris Bass, who's preferred the high line, I'm sure these drivers are going to check up high. As we see one does, that 14 car deciding to go low. He's going to make his way up to the top side of the track. He's going to let race leader Chris Bass by. You see 87, Zach Wentstein in that 4 car, all making it through the 2 cars of lap traffic unscathed. As we're 2 wide racing for 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. That's going to be Peyton Johnson and Jeff Paisley on the trail end of that, battling it out for 5th place. Bass and Smith able to keep it single file for now. As you see, back here in the 10th spot, we have another battle going on. You can see it in the NASCAR tower on your left part of the screen, just how close these guys are battling it out. That action doesn't stop till you get to about the 15th position, held on to momentarily by Mickey Isaac. Atlanta has brought a lot of racing here tonight with the guys from Original Rebels Racing League. There has been non-stop racing and non-stop action. We appreciate you guys tuning in. It's been an honor to call this race and last week's with these guys. I'm Faded TV. We're live throughout Intensity Broadcasting social media outlets. Also live on eRacing TV, which can be found on your Roku and Fire Stick applications. Be sure to get the download. Support a fellow sim racer. As that app was created last year during the pandemic, almost to 1 million downloads. Again, that's eRacing TV on Roku and Fire Stick, reaching almost 1 million downloads. So shout out to those guys at eRacing TV for providing a platform for sim racing. They have other leagues throughout the week. I believe they have an ARCA series. They got a dirt series being called over there as well. So definitely some action you do not want to miss out on. It surely beats watching a stream from your phone or your 20-something inch monitor. You can catch all this action live on your big screen TV right there in your living room. 124 laps here at Atlanta so far. We've seen some hard racing throughout the field, but maybe none harder than up here towards the front of the pack. Chris Bass, Eddie Smith, Zach Wetstein, Cameron Combs, Jeff Paisley been battling it out for the top 5 positions here all night as they start making their way through some more lap traffic. I know I've said it before, but just some impressive racing throughout this entire field here tonight. It's hard to predict a winner here, as we've seen some of these guys shuffle in and out of first place. But the consistency of the drivers back in third, fourth, and fifth, making sure they hang around towards the end of this race. Now we'll have at least 1 or 2 more pit stops. As we have 40 laps of racing left. I'm not sure how much fuel these guys get, but I know they came in tonight, 0 quick repairs, 6 sets of tires. And I believe we've already burned off 4 of those. So each of these drivers up front should have 2 sets of tires left, if they choose to take them or if they need them. Peyton Johnson and Cameron Combs, that 15 car of Cameron. Peyton Johnson is actually the 14 car. We do not have double 15s, but that's the way that it played out in tonight's server. These guys battling it out for fourth. As we start seeing a charge from Peyton Johnson tonight. He's on the high line. He's trying to tiptoe into the top 3 here late in the race. Coming up on lap 130. And it looks like he is going to get the job done on a Cameron Combs. So he's got his eyes set on third place, trying to track down Zach Wetstein and Eddie Smith. William Griffith, one of the drivers that decided to gamble and not take tires, fallen dramatically backwards, which I think is expected, but he is holding on to the lead lap here. That is not for position between that 12 and 99 car. 99 does find himself a lap down. Brandon Wallace, another one of those drivers that gambled, didn't take tires. You see he has a little bit of cosmetic damage on the back of his 99 Hoonigan car. Still, nonetheless, has gained 13 positions since the beginning of this race and finds himself in 21st position. Those guys are needing a caution, most certainly, on lap 134 here this time around. Looks like we have Brett Grunenwald off track. He's back on track now. No cautions out, so good job by him. Nope, caution is out. Excuse me, sorry. That's Matt Geist, went off track as well. Let's catch up with some of these drivers. as it looked like we were going to stay green flag when Brett went off. Let's go back and take a look. He's just going to hit the wall, slide heavily down into the infield into the grass. Now he's going to be able to save himself some major damage by staying off that inside wall. Matt Geist, though, also going off track. We'll see if we can catch up with him as well. Let's just see what happened. Oh, yeah, a couple of cars involved. Certainly what brings out the caution, that's the 01 car of Mickey Isaac. Not too sure who else was involved there, but we'll take a couple of more looks. As the 75 car of Chuck Peltz, you can see the two cars just getting a little tight on corner entry, not being able to turn his car as left as he would like. Gets up into the wall, gets a little bit loose. The two cars behind him, nowhere for him to go, unfortunately for that. So we did say 1 to 2 more pit stops for sure, with the caution coming out, gonna bring us down pit lane one of those times. The driver's in. You see Chris Bass, our pole sitter, sitting right there on the edge. Excuse me, that's Eddie Smith, actually, I believe. So these guys are going to come in after this. Now, there's Chris Bass beating Smith. Zach Wetstein going to be coming out third. He beats Peyton Johnson. Karen Combs in fifth. Jeff Paisley sixth. So that should be, by my calculations, 5 out of the 6 sets of tires for these drivers. So again, they'll have one more set if needed. I'm not too sure what the fuel level is. So we'll have to see late in the race here if some of these guys are going to have to come in and splash and dash, or if we do pick up another caution, I'm sure that'll bring them down pit road one last time to refuel and get that last set of tires. Atlanta being a track famous for tire wear. So that was the race off of pit road. Let's get caught back up here. Chris Bass coming out, your race leader. Eddie Smith behind him. Again, we talked about it. Zach coming off third place. Peyton Johnson behind him. Cameron Combs, who was running top 3 before that caution, up 6 spots since the beginning of this race. He's coming out of pit road in 5th place. Jeff Paisley, Jesse Nikula holding on to 6th and 7th, where they were before that caution. A couple of other consistent drivers throughout tonight's race. Garrett Kinder in 9th and Aaron Mack 10th, up 11 spots. Steve McDonald back in 15th position, but up 16 spots since the beginning of this race. That's unfortunate. That just happened, guys, under caution. That's Matt Geist. Caught a little bit under the white line. That takes away your grip. You see him on the infield. He'll get back up there on his pit box, make some adjustments. Alrighty, at least one more restart here at Atlanta as we creep closer and closer to the end of this race. It's been a story about these two guys, 97 and 87 respectively, holding it down, but also that Eagle 1-4 of Zach and Peyton Johnson coming on strong here in the latter half of this race in that 15 car, the blue, white, and black livery at the top of your screen. Green flag racing. We'll see what kind of run Eddie and Peyton and Zach can get this time around. And here comes Eddie Smith with a strong run on the inside. Oh, we see these guys nearly touch here. As these guys, it can't get any closer between Zach, Peyton, and Cameron right now. Third, fourth, and fifth. Almost getting into the back of Eddie Smith there. That would have caused a devastating caution there. We see the 15 car of Cameron Combs, I believe, drop down to the infield. Not too sure what happened there. As it looks like he's now going to drop back just a little bit. He's now back in 6th spot. Not too sure if there's a little bit of rubbing there that sent him down into the infield. Nonetheless, able to grab it. We see a car momentarily, another car. That's Peyton Johnson getting a little bit loose. We see Zach Wetstein up against the wall. He's going to lose a ton of spots. That is unfortunate. On that 4 car, you can see the frustration right there as he hits the wall. And that's going to send him to the pits. His night is done. That is a tough break for that number 4 car. Zach Wetstein had a top 3 car all race long, as he got a little bit loose and couldn't quite get out of that wall, losing a bunch of track position. Looks like he just full sent it down onto that infield wall, making his way into the pits again. That's his night done. So a tough break for Zach and his camp. That's good news for Chris and Eddie, though. As you can see, they have a 2-second lead right now over Peyton Johnson, who's battling it out with Cameron Combs and Jeff Paisley still. Oh, we see 2 cars touch there. That's going to send the 15 up against the wall. He's going to be able to maintain it. I don't know how he saved it, but that's going to keep us green flag racing because of that. So some late race theatrics, as you can see, 25 laps to go as Cameron Combs gets on the inside and a little bit of a bump to the 14 car. So that's unfortunate. William Griffith, Mickey Isaac. Oh, this could be a big one. Jason Lottridge, Justin Hendry, Aaron Adcook, all involved in this caution. But it all starts with William Griffith here. Let's hop on board with this 12 car. Coming into turn 1, gets a little bit loose. The 23 car, not too sure what was going on there, as it looks like William had to check up pretty hard, but that's a lot of cars involved there. As you see, the 23 car just kind of gets slung down to the infield, back up onto the track. Definitely not something you'd like to do. I'm not saying he could have prevented it. He was carrying so much speed there. Even if he were to have tried to brake that hard, he probably would have locked him up and came up onto the track anyways. But nonetheless, causing a second big caution. You can see he was trying, he was fighting it, but nonetheless set back up onto the track. Again, that's Jason Lottridge, Mickey Isaac, Justin Hendry, Aaron Adcook, William Griffith, all involved in the latest caution here at Atlanta. That 48 car also caught up in some stuff. As you can see, his race car not playing nice with him. He tries to get back onto the track. Looks like his steering is definitely messed up there. So another big wreck in Atlanta late into tonight's race. This is Original Rebels Racing League Send It Cup Series, fueled by Jason Reisman Insurance. If you need to get taken care of in that department, you can reach him at reisman.getinsured@gmail.com. I'm Faded TV, teaming up with Intensity Broadcast here on Saturday nights to bring the Send It Cup Series to you live across all social media platforms. Cameron Combs been battling it out all night long. Up in second place behind Eddie Smith. As Chris Bass, as the relative shows, drops all the way back to 10th. I'm not too sure. He came down pit road, I believe, for an unscheduled pit stop, I'd have to say. So he might be coming in here taking care of that last pit stop a little bit earlier than the other drivers. We got 20 laps to go. He's going to come in and get his sixth and final set of tires. So a little bit of strategy playing out here as some of the majority of the other drivers, Smith, Combs, Paisley, all choosing to stay out. We see race leader Chris Bass come in and down pit road. So he's going to do this restart in the 9th position. That's about as far back as he's been this race. We'll see if he can make his way back towards the front. So, caution over, back to green flag racing. Eddie Smith finds himself once again the race leader, but this time not having to deal with Chris Bass. 20 laps to go, so definitely in his favor here. Cameron Combs, though, we just talked about it before we went back green. Been consistent towards the beginning of this race and been consistently fast in the latter half in his Mobile 115 Toyota Camry. We'll see if he's got the stuff to reel in Eddie Smith. We'll keep an eye on Chris Bass, already making his way from 9th to 5th on those fresh set of tires. 17 laps to go here in Atlanta, and it's cooking up to be a good one. And here he comes in the 97 car, starting ninth on that last restart, electing to come in, getting some fresh tires is Chris Bass as he's made his way back up to the third spot. Relatively quick here. Now he's on the inside of Cameron Combs. Next stop, Eddie Smith. And here comes the 97. He is on fresher tires than Eddie Smith. Is he going to be able to defend like he has been able to at the beginning parts of these races? 15 laps to go. We're coming out of turn 2 onto the backstretch. And here comes the surge. Eddie staying on that middle line. Of course, Chris on the fresh tires, being able to run the inside line and carry that speed from ninth to first within just a few laps. Eddie's not going to go away cheap, though. He's on the outside line, trying to maintain. It's going to be Chris Bass taking over the lead once more over Eddie Smith, Cameron Combs, Jesse Nakula, Jeff Paisley. Top 5 drivers currently: Jonah Colbert, Steve Loving, Aaron Mack, Brandon Wallace back up into the top 10. He struggled a little bit on that restart, spinning his tires. He's got his 99 Chevrolet back into the top 10, up 25 spots. So shout out to Brandon Wallace. Looks like he's going to make a nice recovery there. Peyton Johnson, though, in that 10th spot. He's got Garrett Kinder, Matthias Swank, Justin Hendry, and Steve McDonald all barreling down on him. Matt Geis up 20 spots in that 15th position. You see some of the lap cars coming all the way down into the infield to let these race leaders by. Looks like Peyton Johnson's crashed. He's in the red. Not too sure if that's going to bring out a caution. If not, we're going to stay with the leaders. 12 laps to go here in Atlanta. And it looks like Peyton Johnson is able to hold on and maintain. So we are going to stay green. Jeff Paisley, Steve Lovely battling it out for the 5th spot, the 27 car. You see on the inside as the 7 car of Jeff Paisley getting a little bit loose there. 10 laps to go. Remember, the majority of the cars stayed out the last caution. We'll see how that plays out with the tires that they have. I think Chris Bass is the only driver on his 6th set of tires. Everybody else is on that 5th set, and it shows out of Jeff Paisley getting a little bit loose up into the wall. He's going to lose a couple of positions. Brandon Wallace now up into 7th in the 99. Jonah Colbert taking over 6th as he's leading this second pack. Steve Loving in 5th, kind of out there in no man's land. As Jesse Nakula, one of those drivers I talked about that has been so consistent tonight, in 4th, and looks like he's gaining on 3rd spot. Cameron Combs, can the 84 bring home a podium? And Chris, as we talked about it on that 6th set, looks like he's going to run away with this if this stays green. So a phenomenal pit strategy by that 97 car and his team, able to take advantage of everybody else on a little bit more worn tires than him. And he is just starting to run away with this. You can see it on the left part of your screen. The biggest lead for anybody tonight, over 3 seconds on second place driver Eddie Smith and the rest of the field, as it is now a race for second place. 8 laps to go. Your leader coming out of turn 4. You can see on the track map just how spread out this field is. We still have a couple of spots being raced for. But first place all but locked up right now. As we stay on board here, this is the battle for third between Cameron Combs and Jesse Nicola. And it looks like Jesse has a really strong run. Looks like he's going to stay on that inside line, try to get the advantage over Cameron through turn 1 and 2. Not too sure he can close that up right now, but we've seen this all night long. Once you start getting into that position there, it looks like smoke on the track. Not too sure what happened there. That's going to bring out our 9th caution, and that is not what you want to see if you're Chris Bass, who is starting to run away with this race. Phil, the Hitman Monzo, involved in the latest caution. You see the smoke on the screen. Eddie Smith and the rest of the gang having to dive down low to avoid. I don't know if these two cars touch. It does look like they did, absolutely. Unfortunately, that was a car lapped down, and it looked like, in all fairness, Phil Monzo was trying to keep it up high. I think that was actually Chris Bass coming up a little bit high, getting into the rear quarter panel of that 44 car. Nonetheless, that's going to take him around and bring out our 9th caution. And again, that is not what you want to see if you're Chris Bass, as that's going to bunch them back up. And we're going to have ourselves a little bit of a shootout here. So, the rest of the gang here, like Eddie Smith and Jesse, now they're going to come in and be able to get their 6th and final set of tires. Definitely going to make it interesting, to say the least. I think Matt Geist staying out. He's up in 3rd now in that number 2 Ford Mustang. Hey, if he can keep that pace, that would be a monster jump, as he's up 32 spots since the beginning of this race, which felt like forever to go. 9 cautions might seem like a little high, but here in Atlanta, these drivers have been racing their tails off. And I think keeping us green flag racing as much as possible. Again, we've had a couple of early ones. I think 2 cautions we had right off the rip, off of a restart. So that might just be people spinning tires, not getting their restart the way they want it to. So hats off to these guys, as we are going to do a green-white checkered. We have 2 attempts, but I feel like these guys are going to get it done on the first one, as we're going to have a shootout between Chris Bass, Jesse Nicola, Matt Geist, Chuck Pegleg Feltz, Eddie Smith, Steve Loving, Cameron Combs. Hats off to Jesse and that 84 Chevrolet. I can tell you guys, if you've been paying attention to the standings all night long, this guy was battling it out outside the top 10, I believe, for about half of this race. Couple of cautions. He was able to gain a couple of track positions through there. Been very consistent. Found himself inside the top 10 with a little less than half to go. And he's been able to get his 84 Chevrolet up to the front row on this green-white checkered. So shout out to that 84 of Jesse Nicola. Consistency is key in these long races, and he's showing you why. You got Chuck Feltz up there as well, who does sponsor our pole award. So shout out to Chuck Pegleg Feltz. If you guys have stuck it out from beginning to end, you have seen nothing but action all throughout this race, from the beginning to end. From the front of the field to about the top 20 cars. That early caution, I know, taking out more than a handful of drivers. But it's been action-packed throughout this field here tonight. Again, 2 attempts at a green-white checkered. Now everybody is on their 6th and final sets of tires. We're going to even it out. Now, we'll see. I know it doesn't seem like a lot of laps. Chris Bass came down on our 8th caution which wasn't that long ago, so I won't make it dramatic, but the likes of Eddie Smith and Cameron Combs being able to come down, they are going to have just a little bit of an advantage as far as tires go. Again, nothing dramatic, but we'll see how this plays out, as Chris Bass came in with 20 laps to go. So he's got about 17 laps on his tires, and we'll see just how much of an impact that makes. Alrighty, and here we go. Oh, and Chris Bass with a little bit of spinning his tires, but same with Jesse Neckel on the outside. They both spin their tires, which advantage to Chris Bass as Eddie Smith and Cameron Combs got caught behind Jesse and his tire spin. So Chris dodging a bullet there. You can see on that outside line, though, Eddie Smith, Cameron Combs making a charge on those fresh tires. Here comes the 87 on the inside. That's Eddie Smith working the inside of Chris Bass. That's Cameron Combs. They're going to take over spots 1 and 2. As Eddie Smith takes the white flag here at Atlanta. So Chris Bass with a little bit of a gamble with his strategy. He came in with 20 laps to go, maybe not thinking we'd have another caution, but we did. That allowed Eddie Smith to come in, get his final sets of tires. He's through turn 3, coming out of turn 4. He's going to be your race leader here at Atlanta for his second win of the season, Eddie Smith. As these guys do here at Original Rebels Racing League, beating up on the race winner. This happens every week, something fun that they do, something exciting, but no donuts for Eddie Smith, as he is just getting banged up here. You can hear some engines starting to go out there. So no fancy celebrations here at Original Rebels Racing League. As we wait and give some of these drivers a moment to get settled in, we'll certainly pull in some of these drivers for some interviews. We'll see if we get Eddie Smith in here, Cameron Combs, if you can make yourself available. We'll start off with Chris Bass. Hey, Chris, it's faded up in the booth. You got a copy?
I got you.
Hey, man, so look, unfortunately, I know you took your sixth and final set on that second to last caution, 20 laps to go, and it looked like a gamble that was going to pay off as you were starting to run away with it towards the end, and unfortunately, we found ourselves under our ninth caution. That allowed Eddie Smith, Cameron Combs, and the rest of the field to come in, take a set of tires. So you basically had 17 laps, I think, on your tires. So an unfortunate finish. However, you do have 2 wins on the season, and you go home 12th. So I guess it could have been worse, and the season could be going worse for you here. But I know, with that being said, a lot of drivers certainly respect your speed here on a week-to-week basis. Talk to us a little bit about how you felt that end of the race going down. Do you feel like that last pit stop was a gamble? Did you think it was going to go green the rest of the way?
Well, I have a lot I could say, but I need to keep my mouth shut. There's that move was going to pay off, I thought. And without going too far into it, I got pinched coming off the corner, and he found the inside wall. So that's about all I'm going to say about it. I don't want to say anything else.
Yeah, no.
But the race itself was fine. It was a good race. I enjoyed racing with Eddie there. Congrats to him and all the rest of the guys up there in the top 5.
Yeah, Chris, we'll keep you out of trouble, man. I appreciate you doing the interview with me here. And great race up until then. Best of luck to you throughout the season, my man.
I appreciate it, buddy.
All righty. So a very upset Chris Bass. We did see it live. He was coming across he was coming through some lap traffic. He got up a little bit high into the quarter panel. That's what caused that last last caution, which unfortunately ended his night, as Eddie Smith was going to be able to take over the race lead. Next, we're going to pull in Cameron Combs, Toyota Camry, finishing second. Cameron, you got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Hey, Cameron, so towards the end of the race, you obviously had all the speed in the world and a deservingly second place. Towards the front of that race, though, it looked like it was going to be the Eddie Smith and Chris Bass show. Talk to us a little bit about how you were able to stay so consistent, and then towards the latter half of that race, it seemed like you had just really found some speed and was able to bring home your Toyota in second place.
Yeah, it was really hard because the cars are so aero dependent, and you gotta really keep your momentum up and run the high side. But it was just hard keeping up with them guys because those guys were running nose to tail the whole time, and their draft was overpowering what I could catch off the back of them.
Yeah, well, nonetheless, you kept it clean. You kept it consistent. You had track position on your side all night. A great run, Cameron. Congratulations on taking home a podium. And just a strong finish, and really showed off that you belong up front, hanging out with the likes of Eddie Smith and Chris Bass and the rest of the gang. So great job, Cameron. Congratulations, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
All righty, ladies and gentlemen, that was Cameron Combe, your second place. Next, we're going to bring in the number 7 Chevrolet of Jeff Paisley, bringing home a podium here in Atlanta, your third place finisher. Jeff, you got a copy?
I got you.
Hey, my man, this league is probably one of the most competitive leagues I've seen. Now, obviously, there's the guys that, maybe expect to be towards the front, and everybody's really fast. I know Zach Wetstein was there pretty much the whole race up into the top 3. He had some bad luck there, so that was unfortunate for him. But talk a little bit about your race and just the consistency that you held on to bring home that Chevrolet in third place, man.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised that we were up there as much as we were, because I know in practice it was just really loose. But it was a good car. It was running real good. I was able to stay up there with those guys. I was really kind of just thinking I was racing for the back of the top 10 with, Cameron Combs and all those guys. So, Eddie Smith, who won. And I mean, there's just so many good guys that are in this league. So I always figure I'm a back part of the top 10, but it didn't work out that way tonight. I'm pretty jazzed about that.
Yeah, it worked out in your favor. Shout out to you and shout out to the likes of Jesse Nekla, who I think also was kind of in that category you were speaking of. He was racing outside the top 10 the first half of that race. And then, we got some cautions, and then it seemed like guys like yourself were really able to take advantage of the cautions, get some track positions. I know he took home a top 5, Aaron Mack 4th, and then obviously you with the 3rd. So it's good to see some of the drivers that were hanging out in that 10th to 15th spot when it was all said and done find themselves up into the top 5. And then, of course, you taking home a podium here in Atlanta. Congratulations, Jeff. Thanks for taking the interview. We appreciate you. Do you got anybody you'd like to thank?
Oh yeah, definitely. Arcadian Motorsports, and you can follow us on Facebook. Butt Kicker, McConey Setup Shops, Mr. Willie P Designs. My son does all of those great paint jobs that we've had. The Raise Energy Company. If you go to repsports.com, you can get 15% off if you use our code Arcadian7. Also, we have HP Consulting. They sponsored the race. We really appreciate them coming on, and of course, we've got Seth Griffith and Kinder Farm and Ranch and whatnot. There's a whole lot of them. Shappy Edits. There's so many great people that are making this league work. And of course, we want to thank Matt Geis, who runs this fantastic league.
Yeah, awesome stuff. Awesome call outs. Great job with that. Phenomenal. Just like your race, Jeff. Congratulations on P3. We'll talk to you next week, buddy.
All right, man. And you do such a great job, man. I'm glad you're here.
I appreciate it, Jeff. Appreciate it, brother.
All right, you take care.
All right, that was 3rd place driver Jeff Paisley. These are the post-race interviews provided by Shappy Edits. And next, we're going to bring in Eddie Smith, your race winner in the 87 Chevrolet, who's now brought home 2 races of his own to tie Chris Bass up there. Eddie, you got a copy, brother?
Yes, sir.
Hey, we talked briefly before the race. You said, man, I'm glad to be in the spot that I am, but if I feel like I'm always chasing down Chris Bass, which, don't get me wrong, there was a little bit of that tonight. You and Chris probably, if I had to do the math, were probably broke out about even as far as laps led. At least it was close. So Chris finally maybe roles reversed. He was chasing you a lot of time tonight, but unfortunately, he did a little bit of a early pit strategy. You guys were able to stay out, maintain track position, and then that 9th caution kind of put that away. You guys were able to come in and get your 6th and final set of tires, and you found yourself in victory lane tonight. So first off, congratulations on that. Secondly, talk to me about just how tough it is to race with these guys. As I look at the live timing, we have Cameron Combs, Jeff Paisley, Aaron Mack, Jesse Nikula, all top 5 drivers tonight, which you couldn't say last week. I don't know where they finished last week, right? And that's not a knock on them, but it just seems like the competition is so fierce here.
It's unbelievable. I've got to apologize to some folks. Zach Wetstein and Cameron Combs. Just having to be really aggressive. I mean, everybody up there was doing every little bit they can, every ounce of anything they could do to get an advantage. The lead was so important. If you get out to the lead, you really controlled the race with how you lost the front end. We started moving around during the middle of the race and just trying to find some way to get a little downforce on the front of the car to come off the corners without getting so tight. And so I felt like the whole race was just a constant. I said it last week. I mean, this is the most competitive field of guys I've ever seen. I mean, and that package makes it extremely tough to make a mistake. I got down the bottom at one point early in the race and ended up back in 7th just because I got stuck on the bottom and guys were just able to wrap the top on me. So, I'm a little out of breath and I'm excited to win. I don't feel like I really earned it. I feel like Chris was definitely the better driver tonight. So I still got some work to do, like I said earlier. But yeah, really glad to get the win. It just was tough. Yeah,
again, your 2nd win here probably feels good. Before I let you go, is there anybody you'd like to thank?
Yeah, I want to thank JC Motorsports, Jonah Colbert, Peyton Johnson, and Chris. Excuse me, sorry, man. I'm blanking on names. But I just want to thank the guys up front, man, the Rebels guys, and you, man. Sorry, I don't mean to take up your time, but
no, you're fine, man. Floor is yours when you race. When you win a race like that, look, man, that race was exciting. I know we had 9 cautions, but for the most part, it was pretty clean, and it was tough, man. Obviously, you guys, don't pay attention to what's behind you. It's all about what's in front of you. But man, you guys were racing all the way back up in the 20th spot. There was 2 wide action throughout the race. So just hats off to the league. Hats off to you, Eddie, bringing home the win for the second time here. And congratulations. And we look forward to calling next week.
Thanks, man.
All righty, that was a race winner, Eddie Smith, with his second win of the season. This was post-race interviews by Shappy Edits. I've been Faded TV. This has been Intensity Broadcasting on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and E-Racing TV on Roku and Fire Stick. We appreciate each and every one of you that tuned in. I know it means a lot to the drivers. It means everything to the sponsors, so we appreciate it. 167 laps complete here at Hotlanta. And we'll see you next week, same time, Saturday night, 7:30 Central Time.